One comment about this year's Met Gala really stayed with me. My friend Aaron commented everyone got the wrong memo. It was fashion as art, not art as fashion. And my first reaction is, why does fashion even need to be validated as art in the first place? Why is art automatically placed on a pedestal? Historically, fashion occupied a strange position in relation to art. Art is treated as intellectual, timeless, culturally important, whereas fashion is always dismissed as commercial, superficial, feminine, decorative, excessive, vain. So when people say fashion as art, why is art automatically treated as something that's of a higher level? And obviously many people interpreted it as art as fashion and dressed as artworks themselves. And it got me thinking about how similar it is to the problem encountered by the Hanfu movement. Over a decade ago, I first encountered Hanfu through beautiful images and garment designs that evoked a certain kind of sublime beauty in me, and it really captured me. And then I saw a series of photos taken by someone wearing Hanfu traveling across the world. It was beautifully taken. Another was a very atmospheric kind of pictures evoking traditional Chinese painting aesthetics and poetic expressions. But those were not really considered as works of art by the serious arts community because they were seen as vanity shots. Even the travel docu group of photos weren't taken seriously as documentary photography. I started out also exploring this aspect through photography. I always wondered whether my work was simply being viewed as pretty dressed up hobbies, cosplay, imagery, and not cultural inquiry and exploration, identity work, or embodied historical exploration. And I think that reveals something important. Because once the body becomes visibly styled, theatrical, beautified, or aesthetically expressive, people often stop reading it as intellectually serious. As my friend Aaron also pointed out, yes, Aaron, my only friend in fashion, art could also refer to artistry, craftsmanship, and technical mastery. And that's another thing. Historically, in the Chinese context, craftsmanship has often occupied a lower position in relation to literary pursuits. This is partly why traditional Chinese art tends to prioritize capturing conceptual essence over technically dense realism. And even today, we see across cultures as well, the thinker, the designer, the brain behind the creation is often accorded with more prestige than the hands behind the work, the craftsmen, the artisans. So the embodied, manual, and visibly decorative often ended up occupying a lower hierarchy of cultural respect. But somehow, some form of aesthetic expressions are still more institutionally legible than others. And I think Hanfu exists in a very uncomfortable space within the hierarchy. Too aesthetic to be read as pure scholarship, too embodied to be treated as detached academic work, too beautiful to be immediately registered as serious cultural inquiry, too frivolous to be taken seriously, and too new to be considered tradition. But why? Why do you assume that visual pleasure makes something culturally less serious? Traditional art itself was often tied to beauty, symbolism, performance, ritual, and aesthetics. So why is dressing beautifully considered superficial? The issue isn't that aesthetics are shallow, but that shallow engages only with aesthetics, and that modern culture struggles to take embodied aesthetics seriously. So maybe that's why people approach fashion as art through external artworks and references, instead of fully trusting fashion's own craft, artistry, and embodied languages as something already worthy of being taken seriously.